So let's talk about the Aviva Flex application. It assumes that you have an account on the software support site, that you have a Flex or an enterprise agreement, and that your agreement information has been set up in the Flex application. This is usually done at the time when the contract is signed. Also assumes that you have a request creation or license download authorization. And then if you have any issues with the application, this is the Flex administrator distribution list that you can contact if you haven't. We monitor that. And we can pass your questions along to whoever is best can best answer that. So if it's a problem with the application itself, we'll take care of it. If it's a problem with data or other types of questions, we can pass them along to the appropriate people. You can also use in the feedback in the website if you have an issue, and that'll come to the it comes to the same group basically, and then we can forward it along. So I'm going to go quickly through some screens, and then I'll walk through the application itself. You basically get to it, logging onto the software support website, the same login. If you don't have a login yet, you use the register button on the login screen and supply the requested information, and usually between 24 and 48 hours, we set you up in our back end. And then depending on when the contract's set up, for instance, your distributor should, or for instance, let's say you don't have an account, but you want to have the right to request licenses. There's a place for notes in that registration. If you put a note to that effect there, we'll track down the appropriate individual to authorize, whether we can give you that authorization or not, and then we can take care of that for you. This is the standard registration that we already use for the software support website. Once you are on the software support website, you should see the Aviva Flex tile. It's not associated with a customer portal, so it's in the regular set of tiles. So you basically just click that. We have a Flex application dashboard, gives you a quick view of the different statuses of the different items. For instance, we have credits, agreements, requests and licenses, lists, and access to creating a request and viewing a burn down chart. You start out by selecting which contract you want to work with. So as an end user for, let's say, Cooperl or Galaxy or Indigo or something like that, you would probably only see that one and it would be pre-selected. If you are a TAM or a distributor and you have multiple companies that you're supporting, then you would see all those listed and you would select the one you want to work with at that time. So you're only going to work with one contract at a time. We have a credits display, which tells you how many credits you have, how many are being used already, and how many are available for the rest of the year. You can, whenever a request is submitted and completed, these numbers will change. So when you submit a request, you won't see a difference, but when the request is completed, then we add those requested credits to our calculations. We have the agreements. This gives you a list of what specific agreements, and basically this matches the site. So licenses are created attached to a specific site. So in some cases you'll have one site. In other cases, like Pepsi has 300. I think Campbell's has 48. Chevron has one. So it really depends on how the contract is set up. But you would first select the specific site that you want to work with when you create a license request. The licenses display, once you've acquired licenses through this system, then we allow you to view each one. We give you a list of each one of the licenses and the quantity tied back to the specific request that generated that. These will all of these different views will have export capability so that you can get this information plus a little more detail, like in an Excel dump that's coming in the next release. The request panel shows you how many different requests have been made for that specific contract. So this would include any that you've done and anyone that anyone else does on any of the sites that are covered by that contract. We see them by the different statuses: draft, submitted, completed, in progress. So draft are the ones that you're working on now that you haven't submitted yet. Submitted means you've turned them in, but the licenses aren't have not been fulfilled yet. Completed are the ones that are already done and ready for you to download licenses from. In progress means that the license administration process is in the process of filling that in, and then you can see all of them. So you can click on one of these statuses, and you see a grid that shows you each one of those. Right now they're sorted by newest on top. There was a drop down and search, so you can change the different filters. You can set favorites. So if you have a couple that you're working on, you click the heart on them, and then you can sort just by those favorites. This refreshes. You can change the size of the pages, etc. Whoops. When you go to create a license request, you make sure that you select the proper contract, and then it'll give you a list of sites. In this case, this Nova Sydney only has one site, so you'll select that. It also shows the number of credits so far used in this request and the available credits total, so as you fill this out. You then go and select the category of the part and the product that you want to, and then you'd add the quantities, a start date if there's a specific start date that you want to request, and any comments about that license. So for instance, if you want to specify what server it's for, whether it's for development, if it's internal comments, or if it's a comment directed to the license fulfillment process, it can, you can do that. You can add multiples, and you can, clicking on the little X there can remove those, and then you can go ahead and change and edit these as you go along. It tells you, keeps track of how many credits are being requested on this request so far. We have an area for license request comments, and this is for the overall request. If you have a specific, specific notes you want to keep internally, or directions for license fulfillment or something like that, you can enter them there. And if you have an internal reference ID for this order that you want to track from a project number or something like that, you can enter it there. And then we let you search and sort by that ID on the grids there, so it's easy for you to manage, your own numbering system, and so if I was to, the search bar will let me put this number in and just pop this one up, or any one that are related to that. Okay. Once you submit the request, it'll appear on the grid, and you can view that and see what you ordered. You can withdraw it if you need to withdraw the order and maybe add some things, take some things off, change it, and then resubmit it. In that case, the license administrator will get an email saying that it's withdrawn, and he won't process that order. He'll also see it when he brings it up that it was in a status of withdrawn, so that he knows not to go ahead and process that request. You can also cancel. If you cancel it, it just basically trashes it. You can't go back and edit it. But you can create another one and resubmit. Once the license administrator is completed the order, you'll receive an email that says so, and also on the list, it'll appear in the completed status. And so you can view the order, and you'll see the licenses, any licenses that are attached down below with links to each set that have been loaded. So for instance, if they were fulfilled individually or by separate licensing, let's say you had SciTech and Wonderware product lines, they might be fulfilled differently. So you might see 2 or 3 different license files there. But you can click download all licenses, and it'll package that whole setup and download them once for you. We keep these licenses there for the life of the contract, so that you can, if for some reason you need to come back, you can come right back to that and to view this request and download those again. Okay. And then we have a burn down chart for those who have flex agreements. You won't see this if you're an enterprise agreement because the credits have no, the credit cost is 0 basically for enterprise. But it shows you the burn down effect of how many credits you used over this specific year. So from 1st of August to 31 July, you can see that I'm consuming 680 credits per month. I've already consumed this certain amount of total and how many I have left. You see that for the whole year. If you submit another order, you'll see this change. So that's basically it there. What I'm going to do now is when you go to the software support site, you'll see this Aviva Flex tile there. And so you basically would just click on that and you come to the application itself. Feel free to ask any questions as we go at this point. So I basically see how many credits I have. In this case, I have a 1770. I've used 1083, and there's 1616 available right now. In this case, I have 3 different sites agreements that I can request for. I've already got 3 requests there, and I've got a set of licenses. I should be able to see that individual request. There I go. So these are the ones that the licenses that I ordered. At this case, I returned some licenses on a specific date, and then I can get to my download licenses there. So I can see the different requests I have. I have 3 completed requests. If I was to say, select this one as a favorite, then if I want to filter it, I can just basically filter out all of those. That helps when you have a long list of items. I can view this and see what I've got. There are my licenses. And I can sort by all the different statuses that I want. Here's the ones that are in progress. I don't have any. I can see all, etc. I can change the number I see per page. And there's some filtering also that I can do here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a license request. So the first thing I would do is select which site I'm going to do. I have, in this case, I have Louisville. And so far I have not got any licenses or any credits spent on this, and I have that many available. So I go to, I'll start with the HMI SCADA, and then I would select the specific part number. Give it Flex HMI 02 InTouch Workstation. And for each one of these products, this drop-down will also be sorted in a more logical order when in the next thing, so it'll be easier to find what you're looking for. But for that item, I do show you some descriptive text to allow you to see if that's exactly what you want, or I can pick a different one. 03, I see this includes tags, includes RDS Web, etc. So you have multiple, you have details that allow you to select which one you want. You see the unit cost here, and you can select which quantity you want and a start date. So I'm going to go back and say, you know what, I really wanted to have that one, the workstation, and I want to get 3 of those. And I'm going to put 1 dev 2 prod, just to remind myself why I'm ordering those. And then I click on add another. I can see up here that I've got this request so far has used 900 credits. So I will go to historian and say I want to get unlimited local, and I want to get 2 of those. All right, and then I will add another, and I want to get the OI standard, and I want to get 3 of those. And what else do I want? I will say a system platform, and I'll say a single, I'll get an unlimited engines platform and get 1 of those. So I've used 2470 credits out of that, and I'm going to go ahead and say this is just a test. a test, and I'm going to give it a go my internal number. And I'm going to go ahead. I can save this as draft, and I can come back and add and edit it if I want to, or I can go ahead and submit the request. I'll say OK. And now it appears here, and then it's got the status of submitted. If I go back to my burn down chart, you can see where I am. Those credits have not been used yet. So this is my burn down chart for Indigo before I've used those credits. At this point, the license admin has received an email that says the request has been put in. He goes into the application. If he goes in directly into his application, he can see any that are pending for him. And the end user who requested it will also see get an email notification that he has a request. So now I see that I have 4 requests, and I have to hit refresh to make sure. And I see that I now have 4 completed. So I go to this one, I see that my status is completed. I use 2470. I can view it, and if I had put in any licenses, I could download them there. Just like if I went in here and viewed it, I saw that I attached licenses there. So now when I go to the burn down chart, I see it's changed a little bit, so that now I'm using more credits per month, and I'm getting closer to what I want to use for my entire contract. Now I could go in and create another request for another site, or add products, remove products, etc. And I think that's basically it for the application.